Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. In this video we are going to be continuing and finishing our look through of the Dark Souls Design Works art book. So nothing else to say in the intro, so we're just going to go ahead and jump right into it. Again, I have my little eyedrop bookmark. So we left off at the monster materials chapter or section. This is a section dedicated to the different types of enemies that we encounter in the game. So let's jump right into it. So first off, we have the zombie or the typical hollow type enemy. Then we have the armored hollow, which is the same as the zombie, but just with a little bit more armor and a shield and a very weak, almost broken sword. Then we have the undead assassin. These guys are one of my favorite enemy types in Dark Souls 1. They're fairly easy to defeat, but I just think they look cool with their armor and their buckler shield and their little dagger. Here we have the hollow soldier. So this is probably one of the, if not the elite version of the types of hollows that we fight. So this guy has very advanced armor, a proper kite shield, and a spear. And then here we have the Balder Knight, which is one of the enemies that we encounter on our way to ringing the Bell of Awakening that is guarded by the Belfry Gargoyles. Now, fun little fact, the Balder Knight's armor is very similar, if not nearly identical, to the armor worn by Guts in the manga Berserk when he is a member of the Band of the Hawk. I mentioned this in part 1, and I'm sure if you're familiar with Souls games you know this, but Miyazaki borrows heavily from the manga Berserk, which is not a bad thing at all since Berserk is incredible. Next up we have the Burnike Knight. So this guy is very heavy duty, heavy armor, almost very similar to Black Knight Tarkus, with a great shield and a massive, massive spear. This one here is the Blow Dart Sniper. So as it says, this guy snipes you with blow darts. This enemy can be found in Blight Town and is one of the enemies that I hate the most, based on their blow darts are poisonous, so they give you lots of poison buildup, and getting to them is not always easy. So it's, unless you have some moss to get rid of the poison, these guys can severely mess you up. Here we have the Butcher, which is an enemy type that we find in the depths. It's very cool when we first find them. We find them kind of working in a very messy looking kitchen with bits of meat and cleavers and stuff everywhere. Here we have, what does this say? This is the Infested Barbarian. Again, this is another enemy found in Blight Town. Once you cross the water, and before you enter the little tunnel that brings you to the Quelaag boss fight, these guys appear. They throw things at you, they charge you, they hit very hard, and especially on a new character, if one of these guys manages to damage you before the Quelaag fight, your best bet is just to die and walk back to the bonfire, because one hit from these guys will essentially cost you one full Estus flask. This is the Armored Boar. We see these in a couple of places. We first encounter them after crossing the bridge guarded by the Fire Drake. very, very difficult enemy to defeat. You want to attack them from the rear. However, what is cool is they have a very rare chance of dropping their head as a helmet piece. So you can walk around with a little burr on you. So up next is the crystal lizard. Crystal lizards are non-aggressive enemies. I don't even know if I would count them as enemies. They don't attack you in any way. All they do is run away, and after a while they disappear. The reason you want to go after these guys is because they drop very rare upgrade materials, or very low-grade upgrade materials, but in high numbers, so they are very, very essential for getting them. And I'm pretty sure in Dark Souls 1, I can't remember, but I think once they disappear, they disappear permanently. They do not respawn if you go to a bonfire. This is an attack dog, very scrawny, almost mangy looking dog, from Software Games and dogs. The only thing worse than a From Software dog is a From Software poison swamp, in my opinion. This is the slime. We find these in Blighttown, and we find these in the depths. These are enemies that hide on the ceiling, wait for you to stand under them, and then drop down and engulf you. And they may not kill you in one shot, but once they're on the ground, they take so much damage to kill. They are an extreme, extreme damage sponge. And here we have the basilisk. So this enemy is one of the most well-known and infamous enemies in Dark Souls. These guys give you the petrification status effect, which essentially turns you into stone. So you want to kill these guys as much as possible. What is interesting is these two yellow things here are not actually their eyes. Their eyes are slightly above the mouth, and they are very tiny little black dots. But I just think it's cool, but it does give them a kind of frog-like appearance, which I think, as much as I hate them, they are quite cute. Here we have a crag spider. These are one of the main enemies that we fight while descending into Blighttown. They are very tough, and if they hit you with their breath attack, it is almost game over. Next up, we have the chaos bug, which are very similar to the spider that we just mentioned. Very annoying, very dangerous, and can be found in Blighttown. Next, we have the Chaos Eater. These things can be found in Lost Izalith and are extremely terrifying, but their design is so, so cool. Here we have a burrowing rockworm. I believe these are also on the path to Lost Izalith. However, I actually cannot remember these enemies, so I do apologize. Next up, we have the Necromancer. So these enemies can channel skeletons and other undead to come back to life and attack you. The best bet, or the best strategy, is that if they summon a bunch of enemies to come after you, always target them first, because once you kill them, whatever they brought back to life dies as well. So it just saves you time and resources. And here we have the bone wheel skeleton. These are skeletons tied on the inside of cartwheels that roll around and can essentially stun lock you. They move extremely fast and they're difficult to hit, and this is the second time in this video that this is something from Berserk. Now, this is not a Berserk reference. This is just straight up copied from Berserk. This is an enemy that is featured in the Berserk manga. And they are just annoying for poor Guts as they are for us playing Dark Souls. Next up, we have the Royal Sentinel. So these are the big, actually let me zoom in the camera a little bit, sorry. These are the massive guys that are in Anor Londo. For the most part, they don't, or at least are the ones at the beginning. Once you enter the castle, that's a whole other story. But these guys are passive until you attack them. But if you avoid them, they are very easy to just slip past. Here we have the Painting Guardian. So these guys are on the rafters in Anor Londo. Their armor is so cool. They are on the rafters above where we need to go to progress to get to the Anor Londo castle. However, they are also in the rafters of the room where we enter the painted world of Ariamis, thus the name Painting Guardians. Here we have the Crow Demon. There's two pictures of them here. These enemies are found only in the painted world of Ariamis and are very annoying to deal with. However, what is kind of cool is there is an NPC in Dark Souls 2 who is a friendly version of this enemy type. And not only are they friendly, but they sell boss weapons. So very cool that they changed it. I'm sure there's a lot of people who, after playing Dark Souls 1 and went into Dark Souls 2 immediately, saw the NPC and instantly attacked it. Just based off of habit, not knowing that it was friendly. Here we have the, the Batwing Demon. So these are the creatures that carry you up to Anor Londo once you defeat the Iron Golem. However, they also fight you once you reach the castle. They attack from the air, they attack on the ground. Very difficult to take down. If you have any faith skills, as I've mentioned before in this series, I always play a strength faith build. So something like a lightning bolt will knock these guys out of the sky and stun them, and then you can go up and finish them with one hit from your greatsword. Here is just an example of some of the weapons. I'm not sure what this weapon actually is. Oh, sorry, it says it here. It says Mass of Souls. So I'm assuming... I actually can't remember what this enemy is. I'm sorry. I'm drawing a complete blank on this enemy type. Next is the Dark Wraith, which is one of the best enemies in Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 3. They have this amazing skeleton armor and an even cooler sword, and they also have the Dark Hand, which is a kind of magical shield, but also in PvP allows you to grab enemies and steal their humanity. I had always thought up until a couple of years ago that that Dark Wraiths were skeletons, but no, this is just a mask and armor. For example, the Knight of Thorns Kirk used to be a Dark Wraith. So I don't know how I feel about that. On one hand, it's cool that they are just guys in really cool armor, but at the same time, I do wish they were an actual enemy of like magical skeletons with dark sorcery. I think that would be a lot cooler. This is just a ghost. This is one of the enemies, or the main enemy we find in New Londo. We need a special item to be able to damage them. So if you go into New Lando at the beginning of the game, you are going to have a very bad time because they can hit you, but you can't hit them. Next up, we have the Channeler. These guys are kind of like a meme in the franchise. They are they're not quite priests, however, they are morale boosters for any and all nearby enemies, and they use this kind of trident as their offensive weapon, but they do like this little dance. I'm sure you've seen clips of it online, and it boosts the aggression of multiple enemies. This is an enemy that we find in the Duke's archives due to all of the crystals. And here we have a crystal golem. We find these all throughout the map. There's some in Anor, there's some in the Duke's archives, there's some in the Deepwood route. To access the Artorias of the Abyss DLC, we have to defeat a golden one of these to the left of where the Hydra fight is. And once we defeat it, Princess Dusk pops up. It begs the question, is there a person trapped in each and every one of these? Or is the golden one just special for holding the princess? Sorry, did I skip a page? Yes, I did. Okay, next up we have the giant clam. Very cool enemy. Cannot remember exactly where these guys spawn. I'm trying to think. I actually don't know. I remember fighting them, but I can't remember where. If you know where these guys are, please let me know in the comments. This is a Pisaka type enemy. Again, we fight in the archives, I think. They're very kind of Lovecraftian. Here is a Stone Knight. Very, very tough enemy. Much tougher than your standard knight enemy due to their extremely heavy and durable armor. Over here we have the Mushroom People. The Mushroom People, again, another version of a Dark Souls meme. They live in the Darkroot Basin, and I think we have all seen clips of people who come up and attack the small ones, only for the big guy to turn around and kill them in one punch. What is cool though is they start off non-hostile, but if you get too close or you attack one of them, then they all turn on you. Next up is, sorry, I lost my train of thought, is the giant feline. Really, really cool. This is actually one of the types of NPCs that we can join a quest. Oh, sorry, not quest. We can join their covenant in the Deeproot depths, and she tells you a little bit about Artorias, which is a cool little bit of lore. This is a demonic foliage. This is your main enemy type in the Deeproot Basin. They are essentially just plants. So if you have a weapon and you have some fire grease or some kind of weapon that does fire damage, it is extremely powerful against these guys. Next up, we have the Black Knight. So the Black Knights are some of, if not the strongest non-boss enemy in all of the game. They have extremely high poise, extremely tough armor, and they come with a variety of weapons, from their standard straight sword to their great sword to their great axe, and I believe there's one other one I'm forgetting. most people, including myself, have farmed for some of these weapons as they are amazing. I've farmed for these weapons in both Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 3. Here's another picture of them here. Here is the Silver Knights. So the Silver Knights are, both of these, the black and the silver, are Gwyn's elite knights. Now, whereas the Black Knights have much more heavier melee weapons, the Silver Knights have standard sword and shield, but their main strength is archery, so they can snipe you. Anyone who has tried to enter the Anarlando Castle knows exactly what I mean. So one thing about the Silver and the Black Knights is they are all Gwyn soldiers, like I said. However, the Black Knights are the knights that followed Gwyn into the kiln of the First Flame. So their armor got burned and charred. That's why their armor is black and much tougher, and their kind of horns on the helmet are twisted, whereas the Silver Knights have standard horns, a cape. The Black Knight's cape obviously, got burned off with fire, and have a much more shiny look to the armor. It looks a lot newer. That's not to say that the Silver Knights are not as tough. They definitely are. But the Black Knights are far, far tougher. Next section is player equipment materials. So these are the armor pieces and equipments of the different starting classes. So here we have the warrior. He comes with what I can see to be more leather and cloth types. So he has a leather tunic, some leather boots, metal knee guards, pants, a metal kind of visorless helm. However, it is a full helm, so it gives him some decent protection. For newcomers to Dark Souls, the warrior is a very, very good choice for beginners. Next up is the wanderer. So the wanderer has more of a black robe look going for him. He doesn't have any traditional armor that you would say. And he comes with a longsword and a small little buckler shield. By the way, I should probably just say now, there isn't a bad class for Dark Souls, and that goes for all of the games. And if you pick one starting class and then decide you want to switch to something else, like just on this page as an example, if you decide to start as a warrior as your first time playing the game, and then realize that your playstyle is more suited to that of the wanderer, you can absolutely change it, which is a great, great system. Each different type of class also gives you different starting stats, which is interesting. So some give you higher strength, some give you higher dex, some give you higher stamina, vitality, and so on. Also, the way armor works in Dark Souls 1 and 3 and 2 to an extent is that, and same with Elden Ring, is that the heavier the armor, the slower you move. So if you want to wear heavy armor, you are going to have to level up your endurance to make sure that you still fast roll. The other benefit of having actual armor is poise. The heavier armor, the more poise you have, and the harder it is for you to get animation stunned. What I mean by that is, if you're in the middle of an attack animation and someone attacks you first, if you have low poise, their attack will cancel out your attack. If you have high poise, you will still take damage, but your attack will also go through. So, for example, just using these two as an example, the Wanderer will have more poise than, the Warrior will have more poise than the Wanderer. So, he'll be able to attack while being attacked to a point. Whereas the Wanderer is a lot faster. He's able to fast roll right out of the gate, but does not have that much poise. So it's very much a which do you prefer? Again, there is no bad or wrong answer for this kind of stuff. Here we have the Knight. So the Knight is the heavy of the starting classes. He comes with full plate and mail. He has a helmet with the visor tilted up and comes with a sword. I can't remember if he comes with a shield or not, but yeah. Then we have the Elite Knight. The Elite Knight is not a starting class that I'm aware of. I may be wrong. If I am wrong, please correct me. But the Elite Knight has one of the heaviest armor sets in the game. However, it is also the coolest looking armor sets in the game, in my opinion, or at the very least one of the coolest looking armor sets in the game. So yeah, with this guy and with the Knight, you will be medium rolling right out of the gate, so you may not be able to wear all of your armor until you level up your endurance a little bit. So you might end up having to take off your arms and your helmet in order to fast roll. Next up, we have the Bandit. So this guy is focused on kind of dual wielding. He looks, or they look, this is the female and this is the male here. They focus more on curved swords, as you can see, as opposed to the traditional longsword. Very light armor, but still qualifies as armor. Next we have the Hunter. So the Hunter has a bow and arrow, which is kind of useful, especially for the beginning game. Bows aren't very good in terms of dealing damage. However, they are good at drawing enemies out. So if you see that there's 5 enemies in the room, you can shoot one with an arrow to draw him out towards you and then deal with him separately. And do this over and over so that instead of doing a 5-on-1, you are picking them off one by one. He comes with a leather tunic and some pants, same with some leather shoulder guards, and a very nice, stylish, pointy hat. Personally, I do not use bows in Dark Souls, but I do like the fashion of them, and I think they always look great. And if you like bows, good on you. That's so cool. Next up, we have the Holy. I don't think these now are starting classes. I believe these are just types of, or kind of like archetype characters. So this guy has extremely heavy armor with a heavy shield. I'm assuming, since it says Holy, that he focuses on miracles rather than straight up attacks. Miracles, for the most part, are usually passive things such as healing, but they do come with some offensive capabilities such as Lightning Bolt. Here we have the Shadow. So this looks very similar to a shinobi. We can see some of the gear they have. They come with a little dagger. They have this full black outfit, which looks really good. They move very fast. They have very high dexterity and endurance. However, they have very little vigor. Vigor is health, by the way, and almost zero poise. The next up is the deprived. So the deprived starts with a club and no armor or anything like that. Now you might be asking, why would anyone choose the deprived? And there's two reasons that I can think of. One, if you're doing a challenge run, you would want to pick the deprived because it's the most difficult class to stand out. To start at. The other reason, and the most important reason I think, is because the deprived starts at level 1. I mentioned that all of these classes, or the ones here that are actually classes, come with preset attribute levels. All of those add up to a level. So you start with a basic level. It might be level 9, it might be level 14, but if you are someone who plays PvP, the meta level in all FromSoft games for PvP is 120. So you might not be able to actually build your character exactly how you want it, since you already start off with stats. Maybe the character you start off with comes with too much dex that you don't want, since you don't want to ever use dex. But because, say, there's 7 points in dex, that's 7 points you can't put into anything else. The deprived, since he starts at level 1, can start and much more creatively tailor their exact build to what they want. So the deprived is one of the main starting things I always choose. I either go for the, where is it, when I'm playing. Oh, I missed a page. I'll go back. I either go for the knight or the depraved. So let's go back. Sorry, I can't believe I missed this page. Okay, so here we have the sorcerer. So this is your, like it says, your sorcery class, magic and stuff. So it doesn't start with very light armor, if you can even call it that. Actually, no, it's not armor, it's more clothing. You get a staff and a couple basic rudimentary spells. I'm not a magic guy in these games. I tried a sorcery build in Elden Ring for my second character, and I absolutely hated it to the point that I deleted it. I just don't find it fun. Next up, we have the Pyromancer, which is another form of a mage type class or character. The Pyromancer has more occult looking robes as compared to the sorcerer, and the Pyromancer deals in flame magic, so fireball, combustion, stuff like that, being able to light your sword on fire. Very cool. In Dark Souls 1, if I was ever interested between the sorcerer and the Pyromancer, I'd go Pyromancer, but I am a strong strength and faith. Nothing like having a great sword the size of a bus in one hand and throwing lightning bolts from the other. Okay, so now moving on to the weapon materials section. So these are all of the dragon weapons, with the exception of the Moonlight Greatsword. So I'm assuming, and I might be wrong, so I'm assuming that this is the Great Axe. Oh, sorry, Dragon Great Axe, Dragon Sword, Dragon Greatsword, and I actually don't know what this weapon is called here, but it looks cool. It looks very much like a rapier, but maybe that's just how I'm seeing it. This weapon here is the Astora Straight Sword. Very, very cool. I believe this is the weapon Solar uses. This is the Quelaag's Fury Sword. This is the weapon that Quelaag uses, which you can get by using her boss soul. This is the, the Chaos Blade. This is the weapon that I was talking about in part 1 that Shiva of the East was wanting to get his hands on. It's a katana, and it has a gimmick. I can't remember what it is. If it's like it slowly drains your health over time, or every time you land a hit, it takes a bit of your health away. Very cool weapon. Again, I'm not a dex guy, but I do love this weapon, both in its appearance and in its abilities. And here we have the Zweihander, aka the essentially the two-hander. This has become one of the staples for any stealth build playthrough, so I am very familiar with this weapon. I love it to bits. Next up, we have some more weapons here. So we have the Greatsword of Astora here, which is very cool. Actually, you know what? I want to check something. Where is it? I had said that right, here we go. I had said that people say that this is Artorias going into the abyss. However, looking at this sword here, I don't know if you guys can see, but the shape of the hilt, the shape of the little gap between the hilt and, the crossguard and the start of the blade, and the two little edges on the side look identical to that of this great sword of Astora, so I do not think that's Artorias after all. I do apologize for that. I believe this is maybe the Great Shield of Astora. I'm not quite sure, though. I don't use shields in Dark Souls games. This is the Dragon Bone Fist. Very cool weapon. This is the Grant, a massive, massive mace. Insane damage, however, very, very slow. Here we have the Demon's Great Axe. So again, another demon weapon. I'm not a fan of this. No particular reason, just not my cup of tea. This is the Demon's Great Hammer. So if you remember in part 1, I told you that if you beat the Asylum Demon using fire bombs, you get his weapon. This is that weapon, and I have done many playthroughs using this weapon. I love it to bits. It is massive. It takes ages to swing, but it absolutely puts anything that is alive in its path into pink mist, and for me, that's all I need. Here we have the Demon's Spear. This is what that gargoyle, the pink-looking demonic gargoyle thing in Analondo I use. It's kind of like a spear, and what they do is they fly up in the air and then charge at you with it. But they're also capable of channeling electricity through it, which is cool but annoying. So here we have the Dragon Slayer Spear. So this is very similar to what Ornstein uses. Here's the Dragon Slayer Great Bow. Here's the Life Hunt Scythe. I believe this scythe drains enemies of their life and gives you HP. I think this is Nito's weapon, actually. Here's two guys with massive quivers. I think this is a very funny picture. It almost looks like a shitpost you would see on Twitter or 4chan or something. Next we have the Avalon, which is a repeating crossbow. Very cool. A must-have for any Guts cosplayer in Dark Souls. Here we have the Black Knight and Silver Knight armaments. So we have the Black Knight Spear. These are the Silver Knight swords. This is the Silver Knight Shield, the Black Knight Shield, the Black Knight Sword, Black Knight Greatsword, Black Knight Great Axe, and Black Knight Halberd. I always run, in my games, the Silver Knight Sword, the Black Knight Sword, and the Black Knight Halberd. However, you do have to farm them, which can be a pain, but it's such a good feeling when you finally get it. This is the Giant's Halberd. As you can tell, it is a giant halberd, thus the name. This is the Crystallization Catalyst. So this is a crystallized version of a staff for casting spells. I can't remember if there's crystal spells in Dark Souls 1 or if that came later on, but nonetheless, very, very cool. This right here is the Stone Greatsword. Not super familiar with it, however, it looks badass. Here we have multiple of the different shield designs that we see in the game. So we have shields design and ideas, and shield design ideas down here. These are more shields here. Shield design contest winners. So yeah, these shields are featured in the game, and these were submitted as part of a contest. I'm not gonna go into it too much, but I'm gonna zoom in and just let you guys have a look at the shields. I'm just gonna give you guys about 30 seconds to take a look. Actually, you know what? Instead of 30 seconds, just go back to where I was quiet and pause it. Let me know in the comments what of these is your favorite shield design. My favorite, if I had to pick one, just based on its looks rather than its stats, would have to be this one here, the split white and black split with the three birds on the white side and the lightning looking pattern on this one. I don't know why, this one just looks really, really cool to me. And yeah, these are the contest winner shields. Okay, this is the unused materials section. So I'm assuming this is cut content. I don't have much to add for this. If you would like to look at it, please pause the video. But we see multiple different areas and locations. This one looks like a cathedral. Here are some different armor sets. This is Artorius actually here. His helmet and his chest piece. And yeah, very, very cool. Here are some more concepts. This looks like a dragon, and so does this, so maybe these were cut or scrapped ideas for the dragon form. Here we have a samurai-inspired type of Get Up, which didn't make it into the game, but did come into Elden Ring. So it is cool that they did eventually come up with that. And then this guy down here looks like Pyramid Head. I'm not sure what this is supposed to be, but whatever it is, I approve of it. And that, guys, is the end of the Dark Souls Design Works art book. So thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, I'm really glad you did. I enjoyed going through this. Like I said in part 1, this was my first time going through it myself. So if you are listening to this video while lying down or relaxing, I'll give you a couple of seconds just to close the video so that the ad doesn't wake you up. So yeah, the next video will be another From Software game. I'm not sure which one yet, but it will be something FromSoft related. As always, thank you so much for watching. Your viewership means the world to me. My name has been Crimson, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye and have a good evening.